When Byrne was born, he had a genetic mutation in which his hair strands were all white, not so much his eyebrows. He lived in a common family household with two loving parents, and life was an interesting adventure for Byrne. He seemed rather carefree for the entirety of him. The next morning it was Byrne's 8th birthday, and his family had a surprise for him. A few seconds later a knock was at the door, and Byrne's father perked up knowingly and headed toward the door, opening it, and there was Alcohol Fernwood, an adoptive family member of the Fernwood family, Byrne's uncle. Byrne was confused when his father told him that this was his uncle. He questioned it, and his parents didn't seem too happy about it, but Alcohol wasn't at all offended and told him the exact truth. Well, when your father and I were just kids, I was, well, alone without a family. So your father's mother took me home and introduced me to the family. That's how I and him got so close with each other, and how I became your uncle, kiddo. Byrne's eyes widened with disbelief but also excitement. He was curious to know more. Really? That's so cool. Can you please tell me more? I want to know everything. Alco laughed with pride in his voice. Come sit down at the table, Burns. I'll tell you everything. Burns' parents smiled warmly, enjoying Burns' interaction with his uncle, leaving them alone a bit after having a long and funny talk about stories and jokes with Uncle Alcohol and Burn. Soon they had to depart. Alcohol went out the door after saying goodbye to Burn and his brother. Of course, Burn was upset, but he was also super burnt out from all the chitter-chatter, and was put to bed after some time. After everything seemed pretty fine, Byrne went to go play in the yard, kicking a ball around for fun, accidentally kicked it into the street as a car was passing by, and out of his father's instinct, his dad came over to knock him out of the way, killing himself in the process from the massive impact. The car must have been speeding on the way through. When Byrne looked back, his father's ribcage was ripped open and blood was on the floor. His mother came over, shedding waterfalls, and Byrne was just left shocked, letting out a slight tear of sadness but confusion all within from the inside and out. After all the madness, Hawkall saw the news break down and immediately started his car, driving to Miss Fernwood, and immediately started asking questions like, "Are you okay? Is everything alright? You're gonna be fine. It's okay, right?" After all the madness, the suspect who killed Mr. Fernwood was never found, but they did give him a proper funeral. After, after, after the memorial settlement, Alcohol pursued the role of Mr. Fernwood, but still being Burns' uncle on the other side. Alcohol and Miss Fernwood soon became great friends. After what seemed about 8 months from now, it was Burns' 9th birthday, and he got a good settlement of his gifts and toys. But there was one gift that caught Burns' eyes somehow, an Usanka. I used to wear that during the cold winter. Recommend wearing it during the cold days, huh? Do you like it though, kiddo? Burns nodded and immediately put it on, the hat barely fitting his head and instead almost engulfing his whole head. After his whole birthday was over, he was put to bed, the usual routine. During the night, Burns was feeling restless and decided to sneak a cookie or two for a snack. He perked his head out of his bedroom door to make sure the coast was clear, and tiptoed to the kitchen until he found his way to the drawers. His short little body couldn't get up there, unfortunately, so he quietly grabbed out the stool, only to find some dusty old box on top of the drawers. So with all his might he reached up to grab it, successfully pulling it down, although unlucky, making some noise. Fortunately, no one woke up. Burns started looking through the box. Some stuff was just old junk, gadgets, rusty stuff, until 1 second later he found himself holding an old photo, his parents with another child with the same white hair as him. Could this mean he received this genetic mutation from him? Could this also mean this is his older brother? Although he never knew of him, there was a strange sense of connection. a kind of distant connection. He spoke to his mother about it shortly after, interrupting her sleep. Sweetie, can't this wait? Let's see. Alcohol, who sleeps on a different bed apart from Miss Fernwood, wakes up from a sudden noise. Is everything alright? He says. Burns shows them the picture, and both can only gasp in shock. His mother looking like she saw a ghost. Burns, where did you get that picture? Burns reluctantly fesses up because he doesn't want to get scolded. Well, I found it behind the other stuff in the drawers. Alco just listens in while Miss Fernwood goes ahead and explains who that boy in the picture is and what happened. Burns, this is your older brother. Oh, let's just say he was kind of like the oddball like yourself, and has the same hair color as you. I'm sure you're aware. She sighed before speaking any more than she could. He went missing 10 years ago. I still miss him so much. Burns couldn't help but comfort his mother. Alcohol also went over and hugged Miss Fernwood from behind, ruffling Burns' hair too before heading back to bed. Get some rest, kid. And Miss Fernwood, don't put pressure on yourself. It was never your fault. But before Burns left the room, there was one question on his mind that he needed to know. Hey, Mom? Uncle? How did Brother go missing? Miss Fernwood was already too upset enough to answer the question, so Alcohol had to step in. I think your mother is a little tired, kiddo. As for your question, well, neither I nor your mother is sure. I'm sorry, but your father never knew either. Burns just nodded and went back to bed and tucked himself in. But before he shut his eyes, something began to rumble in his closet. He cautiously jumped off his bed. Slowly he's making his way, and as he opened the doors, somebody was waiting for him in there. A demon, but strangely, and the only, his brother. To be continued.